Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld, where in the previous episode we started working on nuclear power. We have uranium being mined, but at the moment we need to set up the processing of it and to actually make some nuclear reactors and all the various other equipment you need to actually use nuclear power. But we're having a little bit of a problem. We need extra advanced circuits and we're out entirely. The entire factory has run out of advanced circuits, and so I try and solve it by dumping a bunch of plastic from the rocket train loading area into the unloading chests for the plastic train to try and just make as many as I can in a short space of time and grab them all off the belt. So that is underway. This should be enough to make us the final reactor. We have 3 of them made, but you need 500 advanced circuits per each one, and I couldn't quite gather together 2,000. So we're grabbing it. It says it's coming off the belt and we very quickly get enough. We also need to get a little bit of extra copper in our inventory to be able to craft the thing. And in the meantime, I just carry on hoovering it up because it's still good to have some advanced circuits available. We'll just grab everything that's being produced. And we will need it in a moment to make these centrifuges that you need to process the uranium fuel. So anyway, now that we have the reactors made, we also want to make all the other components. So we need heat exchangers, steam turbines, heat pipes, and of course the centrifuges. And that's going to take quite a lot of work. It takes huge amounts of copper, a bit of steel, loads of pipes and stuff like that to make all this stuff. So it's going to take quite a while grabbing everything I need. And I have a particular sort of design in mind. Basically, the 4 reactors are going to be in a 2x2 square, which makes the most sense. That's the most efficient way of doing it. And then I need to make sure I have enough heat exchangers and steam turbines to make full use of the power that those 4 will produce. So what I require is 48 heat exchangers and 96 steam turbines. You can have slightly less steam turbines than that because the ratio is actually, well, normally it's 1 reactor to 4 heat exchangers to 7 steam turbines, but because I have multiple reactors connected to each other, the efficiency increases, and so it's actually 1 reactor to 12 heat exchangers. And then that'll go into roughly 21. Maybe it might be down to like 20 by the time you get to that in terms of the steam turbines. But I'd like to arrange it so that each heat exchanger goes into 2 turbines because it just lines up nicely and you don't have to faff about too much with pipes. And so I'm making a couple of extra steam turbines so that I can make the array without a lot of pipes everywhere. So yes, 48 heat exchangers, 96 steam turbines, and I've worked out that I'll need 98 heat pipes. Basically, I'm trying to be as efficient as possible in terms of the materials because A, there's nothing that they're used on other than nuclear reactors, so I then have a bunch of useless structures that I don't need, and B, it takes stupid amounts of materials to make all these, and I'm murdering the factory to get all the supplies. Basically grabbing all of the gears that are being produced as they're being made, and similar for copper. I mean, the system's dealing with it quite well, to be fair. There's not much other production going on right now. Also, I massively overcharged the pipe production because so far we've only ever had 1 assembler working on it, and it just wasn't doing the job really. So I put a whole bunch of level 3 speed modules into it, put some stack inserters on, and that got it running a lot quicker and keeping me supplied. Annoyingly, the stack size for steam turbines is 10, and I need nearly 100 of them, so quite a lot of my inventory is now being filled up with them, but there's enough space left to deal with things. And then finally, the centrifuges. I've decided I want 10 of those. There's no particular reason for 10, it just seems like that's a particularly, like that's roughly in the region of what we want. We want to be able to make the fuel quick enough to keep all 4 reactors running at full pelt, while still having some extra production left to build up a supply of uranium-235 so that we can eventually get enough to start using the Covarex enrichment process. Admittedly, that's probably never happening, but we still want to make sure we have more, like enough production to keep all 4 reactors running, and then a little bit extra as a buffer. Seeing as the way that the centrifuges work isn't entirely reliable because it's a probability thing. So, like, you might end up with a dry spell where you don't get any uranium-235 for a while, so you're making more than you're using, just to be sure. So we're nearly done with that. It's going to take a while to get the centrifuges done because they take 100 advanced circuits each. So we end up grabbing some more plastic and putting that into the system again to get the remaining circuits that we need. But eventually we get that all sorted. So while I'm getting on with that on screen, we'll talk about how we're going to finish and then where we're going to go from here. Because this is the second to last episode of Railworld. It's probably the final one that I'll do any triple speed in. I think next episode we'll go down to normal speed and we'll have a nice wander round and a good reminisce and a natter about how far the factory's come. So yeah, a lot of feedback on how we should end and a lot of feedback on how we should start the next series. And it's got me a little bit interested actually in maybe at some point coming back to this. But Railworld will finish. Railworld will be over as of next episode. Next episode will be the finale and we will finish it there. But at some point in the future, I might come back to the map. I'm not going to do it immediately. Some people were suggesting that what I should do is just grab a train and a bunch of supplies, just travel in a random direction, probably west, for as far as I can, and then just start again. Start afresh, build a new factory there. That's actually quite cool. I hadn't really put much thought into it, but actually that sounds like it could be really fun. But let's leave the Railworld safe for a while. We've been here long enough. It's time for a fresh start, I think. A more fresh start than just going elsewhere on the map and building another factory there. Also, we might end up with lag issues. And also, while I'm gone, this factory will get destroyed by biters, which will actually be quite cool. But yeah, that's something to consider in future. For now, Railworld is finishing. And we will be starting something new. And I considered keeping it a secret and revealing it when the time came, but I think it's a better idea to tell you what the plan is, and then you can provide any feedback from your own experiences and any particular suggestions about that. So the current plan for the next series is that it will be a mix of the Railworld preset and marathon mode. So it will be marathon mode recipes, but then the map generation will be in the sort of Railworld style. But it will probably crank up the richness of resources by quite a bit, because of course when it's marathon mode you need crazy amounts of material relative to normal. You need like 5 times the copper and 4 times the iron or something crazy like that. I mean, well, it depends. There's a lot of different recipes, so there's no exact like amount more that you need, but you want a lot more supplies because you're going to need a lot more to get any one thing done. So that's the plan, a mix of Marathon and Railworld. Try and get it similar to this map, because this map was really cool, and then just build things on a much larger scale. I'm talking a little bit crazy, really. Like a lot bigger than what we've had so far. It's going to make Railworld look tiny. That is the hope. So that's the current plan, and at one point in the distant future, maybe for some series or other, I will set up a new base on this map elsewhere, because it'll be cool, and see how that is. Maybe I'll just do that as like a live stream series at some point rather than a proper thing, because I think some people have just had enough of the Railworld map at this point. I mean, a lot of people love it, but also it's at some point you want to try something new. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. Anyway, back to what's happening on screen, because things are happening on screen. We've gone over to the nuclear outpost, and I've started setting up the refinery area for the uranium ore. Immediately, we're using up more ore than we're producing. We're going to have to get another outpost made if we want to make sure that all of the centrifuges keep running. Get that hooked up to a storage system that separates out the 2 kinds of uranium, and then that runs on to an assembler that makes the fuel cells. And now I start setting up the nuclear array, and I already have the idea for it. That's how I knew exactly how many heat pipes I needed and things like that. This is the plan that I've come up with. I've been messing about sort of off screen for a while with the different designs, just having fun working out nice ways to arrange it that look nice and work well, and this is what I've come up with. So it sort of merges things a bit, but well, previously that was a problem because you could keep things separate, but I think it's now been changed so that heat just travels through everything equally, and there's no sort of thing about it having to come out of one particular reactor. I don't know if I need those little extra heat pipes right next to the reactors to make sure that both are being hooked into the heat pipe line. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but basically this works. It works, it gets the heat where it needs to go, as long as you put the water in, and of course the fuel, and provides crazy amounts of power. It's the best, like, I can be bothered with, really. You can go more efficient in terms of power generation if you go crazy, but this seems to be a sort of good medium. Basically, what I was originally hoping was that I could make some sort of scalable system that would allow you to make a 2-wide and potentially infinitely long column of nuclear reactors, and that is how you get the most efficiency, because for every adjacent reactor you add 100% extra production to each reactor. So because each one in that 2x2 square has 2 reactors next to it, it's running at 300% capacity, which is pretty nice. And so you can get it up to 400 if you have a nice long column. The end ones will always be at 300, but the middle ones will all be at 400 because they're surrounded on 3 sides. You can't get any more than that because then you can't actually connect anything up to the sides of the reactors. And if anyone was wondering, you can't have the reactors not fully aligned. You have to have the whole side of one connected to the whole side of the other. So you can't have one shifted to the side so that you can have multiple connected per side and do some fancy stuff like that. You can't do that. So 3 is the most you can possibly get while still being able to actually have pipes running in and out for things to work properly. So you could potentially make a scalable system like that, I think. I think it's possible, but you need to fit everything into a 5 wide space, which is a nightmare. At some point I'll try working it out, but it's a lot of work to sort of mess about with it. And the main issue that you have is that heat pipes cannot go on infinitely. The heat reduces the further out you go. So it could be that the reactor is at 1,000 degrees, but if the heat pipe is too far away, the heat won't get that far and won't reach the 500 degrees necessary to run all of the turbines. But I don't think it needs to be any more than 500 for the turbines to run at full pelt. I'm not 100% sure. I've not fully experimented with it yet. But there's a limitation to how long the heat pipes can go, which means that there's some limitations on how you can set up a scalable system. It may still be possible. I'm going to have a faff about with it, but for the moment, this was good enough. It provides crazy amounts of power as it is, and will be more than enough for this factory, so we don't need to worry about making a proper scalable system that takes up insane amounts of space. This will, for the moment, work fine. So anyway, we've now got the reactors running. There, we have actually got some fuel produced from the small amount of uranium-235 that we can make, and all 4 reactors are operational. But I don't know if we have enough uranium production at the moment to keep that situation going. We were running the centrifuges for a while before we actually got the reactors running, so in the meantime, could have built up a supply that will now be used up quicker than it's produced. Also, the one deposit that we're using is going to slowly run out, and that's another problem. So we need to get a second outpost. And there is one in the north that looks quite good. It's bigger than the one we're currently using, so it should be more than enough to keep all the centrifuges running, even after things start to run down in either of the outposts. So we just need to get the train running up there. It's going to be a little bit of work because you have to use sulfuric acid to actually do the mining. It takes 10 units of sulfuric acid to get 10 units of uranium ore. So we'll have to have it delivered in by train, piped into the miners, and then we'll have the ore brought back out and sent over to the nuclear outpost. So I walk up back to the nuclear outpost where I come across the train, which is what we're going to be using. So this train will have 3 different destinations. It'll have the outpost, and then it'll go over to the oil area to grab some more sulfuric acid, and then it'll go over to the nuclear outpost to unload the ore, and then that can be processed. So this is where it is. It's right by oil 3, 4, one of them, something like that. And usually what I would do is I'd build a branch that would take the train nearer to the deposit, but we're running out of time. I already decided this will be the second to last episode, and the next episode will be in real time, at least mostly. And so I want to get as much work as we can done in this episode so we don't have to do any faffing about in the next. So I want to get this completely set up before the end, and then we can go work on other things. So I just have a quick siding here that the train can hop into. I don't even get the length of it right for the train. I just quickly throw it together, get the train in place, and then start running the pipes over and building the miners. Get it done as quick as I can so we can get the nuclear system fully operational well in time, and then not have to worry about it again. And my hope was later this episode to sort out coal liquefaction. We have now finished that research, which means that we can now make oil without crude... Well, we can make the oil fractions without crude oil, which is what I've always wanted. It's what I've been waiting for years, literally years, and it will finally fix the oil outpost, but we've sort of run out of time. At this point, there's no point. I've already grabbed a whole bunch of advanced circuits. There's nothing else that we're particularly going to use them for. We're about to finish. We're about to launch some rockets and end it there. So I decided not to actually bother with the coal liquefaction. We can be happy in knowing that it's a thing. That if we ever did want to come back to Railworld, we could easily set that up and fix it and never have to worry about oil again, which would be wonderful. And either way, I look forward to using it in the next series. And probably also in Towns as well, except Towns has loads of oil because I really cranked up the oil generation with the map settings to make sure that I didn't have to worry about having a million oil trains, because that really didn't suit the way Towns was working. But now we don't even have to do that. We can find a use for coal after we switch to nuclear in Towns as well, because I want to do that because it's fun. And yeah, so while coal has lost its purpose in providing power for steam engines, it has found new purpose in making oil, which is always nice. So there we go, the outpost is set up and we've got the uranium being loaded in. We don't have all the miners operating yet. It turns out that there's not enough sulfuric acid in this train to get them all running. So it's going to take a couple of trips to get things fully operational. And I also decided to increase the capacity of the wagon, because at the moment it sets off from the plastic outpost, I think, as soon as it's reached a certain level of sulfuric acid. So I increased that level so that it hangs around a little bit longer, gets extra supplies, and then has enough to properly fuel all of the mining operations when it arrives. So get the unloading system sorted, making use of some blue belts to make sure it's all running nicely. And now we have all 10 of the centrifuges running non-stop, and hopefully that will stay the same. And the reactors are running now. They finally heated up enough. It does take a while. It takes a full unit of... it takes a full fuel cell to actually get the reactors to 500 degrees. In fact, I think they end up slightly short of it. And so that's quite a cool thing of it takes a huge amount of time to actually power the thing up, and also a huge amount of time to power it down as well. Well, depending on the power usage. If there's a lot of power usage, it runs down quite quickly. But then once it gets below 500 degrees, the temperature stops being used to actually power things. But yeah, it takes ages to power the thing up, but it's now working. And what I went and did was I shut down the solar power array. I just went to the solar field and I disconnected every single one. There's like 16 solar panels from somewhere else in the factory still connected. But basically I wanted to test how well the reactor worked. Well, the reactors worked, and they're amazing. I went massively overkill, as it turns out. The entire factory is now relying on nuclear power, and the reactors, well, the steam turbines are not even running at 10% speed, which is crazy. So what I could do now is I could go back to my factory, I could take out all the efficiency modules in every single structure that I have, and I could replace them all with like level 3 speed modules, and it would still, I think, be just within the power production rate of that nuclear reactor array, which is insane. That's amazing. And I can't believe that there isn't a danger of the reactors exploding or anything like that, considering just how it's just free energy, basically. I mean, we do need quite a bit of uranium ore coming in, but once we get the 40 uranium-235 available, we'll be able to use Covarex enrichment to make crazy amounts of 235, and then we need barely any maintenance whatsoever. All it takes is 2 or 3 238 to make one 235. Of course, you'd then still need 19 of the 238 to actually make the fuel cells, but the production rate that you require goes massively down once you have the enrichment running. Of course, we're never actually going to get to that stage because we don't have the research set up, but you know, it's nice to set it up like that just in case we ever come back, and also you know, as practice, I guess, if nothing else. Anyway, we're on our way to Cape Kerbal now, and you may have spotted back there that there were some biters that spotted me as I was passing, which is a little bit of a concern. Once again, the biters have been advancing in, and they're once again in aggro range of the rails. And I basically carry on and hope that it's fine, and arrive in Cape Kerbal. And then while I'm here parking up, actually, I think it happens in a little bit of a moment. I ended up going backwards on the rails because I wasn't paying attention and was driving manually. But there we go. The engine has been destroyed. The biters ambushed the rocket train on its way back, and I wasn't even on it this time. And so I quickly abandoned what I was doing, which is building a new rocket silo, and made my way back over there to try and save the train before anything more happens. And basically, I deployed some destroyer drones as I'm on my way, ready to hit them hard and fast and stop them before they can do any more damage. And my intention is that if the train... Well, my intention was that if the train was destroyed when I arrived, I'd give up on it. I'd not rebuild it. I'd just not bother. It's not worth the time and effort, and the factory can't deal with that happening again. I just forget about it and go on and use what materials I had in Cape Kerbal to do what I could. But when I arrived, the train is still intact. Only the engine was destroyed, and then the biters stopped for some reason. And so I was able to put a new engine on the front, and it even remembered the schedule, so I could just tell it to go again, and it could just carry on as if nothing had ever happened. And then I make my way back to Cape Kerbal. I also let my my construction bots finally fix that broken bit of wall and turret in the corner, because that alarm has been going off on the bottom of the screen for so long. It's been driving me up the wall that there's just been these 6 broken structures forever. But finally I've been able to visit, and the bots have fixed it, and there's no more alarms blaring in my face about it. Of course, the biters had to attack the one bit that wasn't covered by the logistics network, damn it. Anyway, it's sorted now, and what I start doing is setting up some new some new silos. Basically, I want to launch as many rockets as I can in one go. I'm not sure how many that's going to be. We're going to see. I just start hooking up as many as I can and go from there. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring a bunch of productivity modules. I only have 2 on me and 4 that were already here. So what I do is just distribute the ones that I have amongst the silos that are running. I make use of a couple of speed modules as well, just so we can get through things a little bit quicker. And it stretches the power system of this particular outpost a little bit because it's not used to having to provide for 2 silos at the same time and things like that. All the systems are suddenly running at full speed and so on. But it seems to be doing okay, and the rocket train is on its way back as well to resupply. We'll see how far we can go with it. We'll see how many silos we can get filled and ready, and then see about just launching them all at once as one final, I don't know, I guess 5 rocket salute to Railworld. And of course we've got to make sure the place looks nice, so I'm putting some concrete in to decorate the place. But that's all we have time for today. We've run out of time. I was hoping to get the rockets ready by the end, but we'll get a bit more work done on it in the next episode, which will be the final episode. And so with that, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time for the last time.